You're asleep, completely out, drooling on your pillow, probably snoring, zero awareness of the world around you. You are, by every biological definition, helpless. Now imagine you're not in your bedroom. You're in a tent, a thin piece of nylon, like embarrassingly thin, separating you from a forest full of animals that could absolutely end you if they felt like it. Lions, bears, wolves, leopards, creatures that can hear your heartbeat from across a clearing, smell you from a mile away, and see perfectly in the dark while you're just lying there with your eyes closed. And yet, you wake up in the morning every single time. Why? Seriously, think about this for a second. A sleeping human is just meat. Slow meat. Quiet meat. Meat that can't fight back, can't run, can barely even register that something's happening until it's already happening. You'd think predators would be circling campsites every night, like some kind of all-you-can-eat buffet, but they're not. They almost never are. And the reason they're not, it's not one thing. It's never just one thing. There are several layered explanations, each one more fascinating than the last. And together, they paint this picture of a strange, invisible agreement between humans and the wild. An agreement that goes back further than civilization, further than agriculture, further than anything we normally think of as human history. This goes deep. Let's go. Here's the first answer, and it sounds arrogant until you see the data. Predators are scared of you. Not impressed. Scared. As a species, we register to the animal kingdom as something to avoid, and we earned that over a very long time. In 2019, researchers at UC Santa Cruz played recordings of ordinary human conversation near wild mountain lions in California. No shouting, no threats, just people talking. The cougars bolted, the same flight response they show to barking dogs, sometimes faster. These are not timid animals. A single puma can pull down a full-grown deer and drag the carcass uphill. They heard a couple of humans chatting and left. The same study found something starker. Pumas abandoned kills they were mid-bite into the moment. Human voices drifted close. That's working for free. The calories it cost gone for nothing. And they did it anyway, because whatever fires when a human is near outranks hunger itself. And it isn't a California quirk. Lions in Kruger move less where people are around. Tigers in India root around villages built on prime hunting ground. Jaguars in the Amazon redraw their territories to avoid people. None of them are physically outmatched by us. They've simply decided, as a species, that we aren't worth the trouble. So why would an apex predator decide that? Because we spent 2 million years teaching them. We've been serious hunters for roughly that long and brutally good at it, hunting mammoths off the map and erasing the megafauna of whole continents. Giant ground sloths, woolly rhinos, saber-toothed cats, animals that shrugged off ice ages and then vanished within a few thousand years of us arriving. In North America, we pushed wolves to the edge of extinction and wiped cougars out of the entire eastern half of the continent with traps, guns, and poison. Do that long enough, and you stop being a threat and become a filter. The bold predators that crept into camps got killed. The cautious ones that kept their distance lived to breed. Generation after generation, the genes for avoid the upright thing got passed down, while the genes for investigate it got buried with their owners. Caution stopped being a choice and became hardware. So when a leopard catches your scent in the dark, it isn't reasoning through human history. Something older trips, a signal inherited from every ancestor that survived a brush with us, saying don't engage, keep moving. Now think about what you smell like to that leopard. You've never noticed your own scent because you're marinating in human smells constantly, but a predator's nose runs 10 to 100,000 times more sensitive than yours. A bear outsmells a bloodhound sevenfold. A wolf picks up a scent from nearly 2 miles off. Big cats have a second smelling system entirely, the Jacobson's organ in the roof of the mouth, that lets them taste the chemistry of the air. To all that hardware, a sleeping human is a flood of information, and almost none of it computes. You smell synthetic, like nylon and factory chemistry, like processed food and the snacks in your pack, like soap and sunscreen and bug spray, a chemical cocktail with no match in nature. Underneath it, there's a primate, which is something, but it's not the thing, not a deer, not a wildebeest, not any animal these hunters spent millions of years learning to read. A predator's hunting drive isn't a generic urge to kill whatever twitches. It's a precision instrument tuned to specific targets. A wolf fires on the gait of a fleeing ungulate, A lion's strike on animals it has chased 1,000 times. You don't match any saved pattern, and an unrecognized signal, for most predators, triggers caution long before it triggers an attack. Then there's the fire. Maybe the most quietly genius thing we ever stumbled into. Fear of fire is one of the only responses close to universal across land animals, and it isn't learned, it's built in. The animals that ran from wildfire lived. The ones that didn't became ash. The reflex runs so deep that animals raised in captivity, who've never seen a flame, will flinch at the smell of smoke alone. We've had fire for 1 to 2 million years, and for nearly all of it, sleeping beside one has been the default. We tell ourselves it's for warmth and cooking, but it's also a signal thrown into the dark. Something here controls fire. Go somewhere else. Predators got that memo so long ago they don't even decode it anymore. Smoke just means leave. We worked that out before farming, before writing. Fire first. Good priorities. Here's where the movies have lied to you for decades. The fearless apex predator that attacks anything in range is fiction. Real big predators are obsessively careful, because they have to be. There's no vet out there, no sick leave. One bad injury, a snapped leg, a deep bite, a damaged eye, is often a slow death sentence, because a hurt predator still has to catch food it can no longer catch. That turns every attack into cold arithmetic. Are the calories worth the risk, and are my odds good enough? A sleeping human fails on every line. You're a stranger, and a predator is most confident against prey it has studied down to how it bolts and where it can't see. It has no read on you. Humans are chaos. We might wake up screaming. We might have tools. We might have others within earshot. We might thrash in ways nothing in nature does. Your shape doesn't help either, because standing upright reads as aggressive across the animal world. The very thing bears and gorillas do to look dangerous, except we do it as our resting state. And bluntly, why bother? A healthy predator with familiar prey one ridge over has no reason to gamble on something strange and possibly armed. You're also less defenseless asleep than you feel. Human sleep runs in cycles, dropping into deep, slow wave sleep and rising back into lighter stages where the brain is genuinely busy. In those lighter phases, it never fully clocks out of monitoring the world. Sounds still get processed, and unfamiliar ones punch through to awareness far more easily than familiar ones. Scientists call it the sentinel function of sleep, the idea that resting animals keep a partial guard posted at all times. A twig cracking nearby, something heavy moving through brush, a shift in the air that comes with a large body. Any of it can yank you toward waking faster than you'd guess. It isn't luck. The ancestors who slept like the dead tended not to wake at all. The light sleepers, the ones who could go from flat to standing in seconds, became us. We sleep lighter and in shorter cycles than most big mammals, because evolution assumed the dark would always hold something worth waking for. There's strength in numbers too, and predators understand numbers intimately, because their prey forms groups for exactly this reason. A wildebeest in the middle of the herd is far safer than one on the fringe. Predators don't just hunt prey, they hunt for the straggler, the isolated one that's drifted away. A camp of sleeping humans is a group, and one where the first person to wake and shout wakes everyone else. That collective alarm is exactly the chaos a careful predator avoids. None of this makes you untouchable, and pretending otherwise would be dishonest. Attacks happen, but they follow a pattern. Almost every one involves something that broke the normal rules. An injured predator that can't take its usual prey. A starving one whose habitat's been gutted. One that lost its wariness because tourists fed it. Or simply an old animal past its prime. The Tsavo lions are the classic case. In 1898, 2 males killed somewhere between 35 and 135 railway workers in Kenya over about 9 months. What gets left out is how abnormal they were. Both maneless, one with severe dental damage that almost certainly made its normal prey too hard to take. They weren't lions being lions, they were exceptions. The Champawat tiger, blamed for an estimated 436 deaths across Nepal and India in the early 1900s, told the same story. When the hunter Jim Corbett finally examined it, he found it had been shot in the mouth at some point, shattering 2 canines, so it could no longer hunt its natural prey. Injury and shrinking habitat had funneled it toward the only food it could still manage. The pattern repeats through nearly every documented attack on people at rest. Something broke. The math changed. Which is why the rule otherwise holds almost everywhere. As long as the ecosystem is intact, The predator is healthy, and you haven't scrambled the signals yourself by leaving food out, approaching wildlife, or skipping the fire. And here's the part that genuinely reorders how you see all of this. We've made the wild so afraid of us that the fear itself has become an ecological force. That 2019 study didn't stop at pumas avoid humans. It traced what happens next, and it ripples through the whole food web. Where pumas steer clear of human activity, the deer there get a break from predation, so their numbers climb and they overgraze the vegetation. The mid-sized predators, coyotes and bobcats and foxes, also thin out near people, so the rodents they'd normally control start multiplying. The whole system tilts, and it tilts because of us, not because we touched any of it, but because our presence broadcasts the one thing evolution trained these animals to dread. One species, one inherited fear, and it rearranges what eats what across an entire continent, through nothing but being there. The most dangerous animal on Earth isn't the one with the biggest teeth. It's the one that mastered fire before it mastered anything else. The one that sleeps light, moves in groups, and carries 10,000 generations of survival coded into its blood. That's you. That's what you are. So the next time you're zipped into a tent in the middle of nowhere, listening to the dark press against the nylon, and you feel that small, cold pulse of fear, let it come. That instinct kept your ancestors breathing. But the thing out there in the blackness isn't coming in. It learned better a long, long time ago.